Many of us have family members, friends, acquaintances, or know someone who knows someone that has a disability or mental disorder of some sort. It could even be someone in your community or a next door neighbor. Autism is a lifelong developmental disability that prevents individuals from properly understanding what they see, hear, and otherwise sense. In addition to severe language and socialization problems, people with autism often experience extreme hyperactivity or unusual passivity in relating to parents, family members, and other people. This results in severe problems of social relationships, communication, and behavior. Autism is distributed throughout the world among all races, nationalities, and social classes. Unfortunately, some commonly held beliefs about autism, which we know to be untrue, still persist. This lack of understanding can make it difficult for people on the autism spectrum to have their condition recognized and to access the support they need. Misconceptions can lead to certain people with autism feeling isolated and alone.
Okay, autism is a pervasive developmental disorder. It is, when you speak to characteristics, you're looking at what is it marked by. So it's marked by behavioral, a child may present with behavioral challenges, emotional challenges, and social challenges. So that's what you look at. It's let's call it like a deficiency in how a child may be behaving and how a child may be interacting with other people and how a child may be expressing their emotions. At this juncture, at this point in time, they still do not know the cause of autism. Some persons have linked it to biological factors. They say that it might have to do with a deficit gene. Maybe it's a gene that is there too much, but they still do not know the exact cause of autism. In very few circumstances, they have linked it to mothers who would have had rubella when they were pregnant with the child. There are some other really far-fetched beliefs. Some persons say it might be linked to individuals who may be from the same bloodline. They would have had sexual intercourse, had the child would have had autism. But again, none of those causes have been actually proven to be factual or to be true. They haven't conducted a study per se to show the prevalence of autism in Barbados. But in terms of around the world, you can say that autism is present in about 10 to every 10,000 children. And it's more prevalent, it's 4 times more prevalent in boys than in girls. In my experience with working with children who have autism in Barbados, I would say that it is actually more prevalent than persons may realize. What I think happens is that a lot of parents they might see a child experiencing or displaying certain behaviors. Remember, we spoke to the characteristics. So they might see a child displaying certain behavioral problems. They might see a child displaying certain emotional disturbances, a child not interacting properly in society. And they may not go for the diagnosis because a lot of persons are afraid to get diagnosis for their children. So the figures or the percentages that we would need in Barbados to determine the prevalence of autism is not there, because it's still seen, well, not only with autism, all types of disorders, psychological disorders or mental illnesses are still seen as taboo. So no one wants to be diagnosed with it. So we don't know the prevalence of it statistically in Barbados at this time. The misconceptions about children living with autism. That can be a very extensive list. But to keep it simple, first of all, one of the main misconceptions is that all children living with autism have intellectual disabilities, and that is absolutely not true. Because there's some children who are living with autism that are highly intellectual. We call them like the higher functioning children with autism, and they do not have any type of intellectual disability, any type of intellectual impairment. I would say that is one of the biggest misconceptions.
People with autism also have typical responses to sensory input, like unusual sensitivity to light, sound, smell, taste, and/or sensory cravings. Other common symptoms include stims such as hand flapping, toe walking, and rocking, a need for sameness and repetition, anxiety, and in some cases, amazing savant abilities in certain areas, often music and math.
Another misconception for me, what I have found in my experience, is some persons associate I have autism means I'm blind and I'm deaf. When I say that, I mean they think that because a child has autism, that the child is not aware of when you're speaking about them, what you are saying about them, what you are saying to other people about them. They seem to think that the child is automatically not listening or not seeing.
He was diagnosed at 3 years old, but from the time he was around like 18 months, I noticed like he was different from my other daughter. Like he wasn't doing things that she was doing at his age. He was taking longer to walk, and he wasn't very playful with other children, and he would like to be in a corner by himself. I could go to town, and if I put him in a corner, I could go to town, come back, he would be in the same corner sitting, and I told Daddy like something wrong. So he went to the doctor, and they was explaining to him like he wasn't talking or stuff. They must he would do something. It's like if he watching a cartoon, he would like shout out like a part from the cartoon. And so the doctor she wrote it down. She gave me a letter and told me to take it to the Children's Development Center, and they did that. And the psychologist, she diagnosed them with autism spectrum disorder. And from doing my research, although I had an idea, then when she told me that, you know, it felt like a blow. But then after I had my mom, I told myself, all right, so it's time to get to work, find out how to help this boy. And I was doing my research, me and his occupational therapist, Joe the World, at the Development Center. And she put me on to this lady, Sue McMillan from Canada. She works at the Hannon Center in Canada. She specializes she's a speech language pathologist. She works with autistic children. And she started to come to my house, and she would do home visits with Amari. And she taught me basically how to communicate with him, how to understand him, how to get him to understand me. Like when you want something, you'll see he would just be like staring. He would stare at the thing that he wants, and then he would be staring at me. And I would be like, if it's drink, say drink. I start with telling him, drink please, like simple, you know, like 2 syllables, drink please. And from there, like I would just put a sentence to everything that he wants, and he would get it. Because in their mind, like they know what they want, but they don't have the right language to communicate to you what it is. So you just have to give him a little push, you know. So that's about it. He has developed so great since then, because at first, like I said, he wasn't talking, he couldn't feed himself, he was walking like crooked, and I would try to give him, like at the development center, they see the children like once a week. So like basically like what I learned from Sue McMillan, I would like give him my sessions at home every day, you know, like we would sit down, because he had problems with the motor skill, and we would tread the beads, you know, the problems with the leg, I would stretch the legs, and I would just put a lot of things about the house, like things that he liked to play with, things I know that he would want, and he would have to come and like find somewhere to let me know, like, mommy, this is what I want. And gradually as time went by, like the language was just coming. There's a lot of different reactions. Like we were walking through town one day, because I carry him walking very regularly, and he stopped by some fruit vendors, and the lady was asking him, what do you want? And he looked back at me, so I was explaining to her, well, like, he's autistic, he doesn't talk. And the lady started to cry. She was like, oh my God. And I said to her, he's autistic, he's not dying. You understand me? Then there's some people that don't understand the behavior, and they'll be like rough and shouting. So like different reactions from different people.
Recreational and societal experiences, you want to get them in an environment where they learn, they can interact with other children, and they can watch other children, see what other children are doing. So you can take them to a playground, take them to the beach with other children. What we would have done sometimes with some children, we start them in the homeschool setting, and then we gradually allow them to become a part of the regular school system. So they learn how to, sometimes before going into the school system, they may visit the school, they may go at lunchtime, they will get to play with the other children, they get to hang out as we would say with the other children. So that's some of the recreational and social things you can do with them. The foundation of it all, when you have a child that has autism, the foundation of it all, love your child, be empathetic with your child, but do not sympathize with your child. And when I say do not sympathize with your child, treat your child as if he or she is as any other child you have. I find what can happen sometimes when a parent has a child with autism, they are more, I don't want to say protective, more clingy, make them feel like, oh, don't fall, or oh, don't do this, or if the child can't do something, they might cry. But you just have to, first it starts with being empathetic, but striving not to be too sympathetic. Remember, yes, my child is living with autism, but autism is not my child. Autism is just something that my child is now growing with, and now I must now mold my child, help my child to behave or to act as a child who does not have autism would, and it might take different approaches or different techniques, but try not to be too sympathetic. So it starts with that. Then it's also love, it's also patience, and understanding as well. Make sure you appreciate what your child has. Get your child the proper therapeutic treatments, the proper environments that he or she would need to live with the autism.
A diagnosis of autism can be overwhelming. For some people, it can even be frightening, but it's important to know that it is more than possible to live well with autism. Over time, you will discover a wide range of resources and opportunities available to children with autism and their families. You'll also discover your own ability to cope and even thrive with autism.
I'll always remember, your child is living with autism, but your child is not autism.